Good afternoon back to you. We'll just give a couple minutes while we're waiting. I see more of you are coming on. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Love to know who's here, where you're watching from. We are happy to see you all today. Hey, Heather. I saw you commenting or liking a few minutes ago. How are you?
Hey Heather.
Good to see you all. Thank you, Marie. Glad to be back.
Good to see you too.
We've been all over the highways the last several weeks, and so it's nice to be back stabilized at home. As nice as it is, oh, thanks, Heather.
Miss you too, Heather.
As nice as it is to get away and to go to different places, there's no place like home. And so glad to be back with you all. It's good to know we were missed. So, yeah, we are happy to be with you today. We're just giving just a few minutes for people to join. We came on a little later than usual, so we'll give just a few minutes to allow people time to recognize that we are on. We also know that some of our very, very faithful people are out and about traveling in the streets, the skyways. I just got some text from some people who just landed, all that kind of stuff. And so this must be the
It's a
season
busy time.
for traveling, for getting different places. So we've had opportunity to be in multiple states over the last few weeks, and just again, good to be stabilized and home. Some of the travel was unexpected, some was expected, but it all works together for our good. So we're glad to see you all today. Um, Hope you are well. And so I guess that's kind of where I wanted to start. You know, we've been away, and so how are you? And we'd love to hear from those who are watching live or on the rebroadcast. How are you doing? How are you entering this day? How are you entering this space? This space that we have pulled together for community, for those who are ready to move forward, to make progress in their lives. How are you doing today? How are you doing with all that? How are you doing in this month of April? Uh, we'd love to hear from you all. Again, those who are watching live, we'd love to hear from you. And then those of you who watch later on, who are watching on the rebroadcast, we'd still love to hear from you on how you're entering that space. So we'll give a few minutes for that. While we're waiting, I'll say I'm entering. How am I entering this space? I should have thought of that before I asked you. Uh, I'm entering hopeful. This is a week where I'm hopeful that things keep on progressing as opportunities present themselves. That oh my goodness, as opportunities present themselves, that uh, I'm ready and that I handle the opportunities that are in front of me well, whether that be at home, at work, in the community, wherever that might be. So, but there's a sense in me that there's some things that are on the horizon, some things that are getting better, some opportunities that are presenting themselves, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that those work out well. So I see that. Thank you, Heather. We're locked in. We're locked in today. You two are feeling hopeful, but also tired, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
fair combination.
To keep
Um,
holding on.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes hope is tiring. Uh, um, it's not as tiring as hopelessness, but to be able to muster the energy to maintain hope in the face of different things that are coming can sometimes be challenging and even draining. But the alternative is hopelessness, and that's even more draining and more tiring. So that's good. I'm glad that you are on the side of feeling hopeful, praying for your strength to
Mm-hmm.
maintain that hope and to see that hope materialize into what you are anticipating, the positive things that you're looking for in your life. So Marie, thank you. It's a new month and health has returned. That's great. Winter sickness made its way through our house but has since moved on. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
feeling rejuvenated, hopefully. Recovering. Maybe that's even a better word.
Yeah.
And we can relate to that. We had a spell of sickness come through our house a couple months ago. And so, absolutely appreciate that feeling of returning to
Mm-hmm.
health, returning
Restored
to, yeah, restored,
health. Yeah.
yeah, of feeling like, okay, I can keep on going now. And then you have that extra kind of just alarm on, like, hold on, I don't want to deal with any other sickness right now. But it's nice to know that we make it through certain things, and then we can posture ourselves for what is to come. And that is indeed, as you just said, a blessing. Yeah, blessed to make it through, blessed to be positioned and postured for even better in your present and in your future. So that's awesome. Look forward to hearing from those who are gonna even see this later on the rebroadcast. Would love to know like how you're entering. That helps us. I keep a whole list and try to pray for various things that you all bring up in these conversations. And so, would love to hear from you. Please know that we do pray for you. That we are hopeful for you and excited for the blessings and for the opportunities that are headed your way. So, yeah, that's great. I appreciate that check in. I see some more of you have joined in. We aren't rushing this thing today. We are talking about how we're entering this space. Would love for you who have added on to let us know who's here. Would love to know how you're entering the space. Mom, I see you are one that has joined on. Good to
Mm-hmm.
see you,
Hey, Mom
Mom.
Jones.
Love you, love you, love you. Yeah. So, how about you, Camille? How are you entering this space in this week?
Um, I'm entering receptive to God and His direction and help.
Yeah, yeah. Receptive. It made me think of the image of, now this is gonna date me a little bit, but growing up, I remember we had the kind of TVs where either you had the little rabbit, what do they call them, rabbit
Rabbit
ears,
ears.
on top the little antennas, or you had an antenna outside your house. But in order, oh my goodness, in order to get the channels that you were trying to see, in order to see the vision, you had to position the antennas properly in the right direction to pick up the signal
Mm-hmm.
that was coming. And so that was your receptivity. But in order to have the receptivity so that your vision could be clear, so that you could see what you were anticipating and what you were trying to see, you had to, in order to have receptivity, you had to point your antennas in the proper direction so that you could receive the signal. And so, on a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual level, as I heard you talk about, you're entering receptive.
Yeah.
That is a thing. It's a posturing. It's a positioning. It is a openness that
Mm-hmm.
we have to have in order to say, Lord, I receive what you have for me. Lord, I'm headed in the direction that you want me to go. I'm open. I'm
Mm-hmm.
open. The channel's not closed. The channel is open, and I'm trying to point myself in the direction and posture myself in the direction of what you have for me, so that I can begin to manifest and envision and see the vision come to pass and actualization and realization that you have in store
Yeah.
for
Good
me.
reception makes things more clear.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want no fuzzy channel
Mm-hmm.
where the signal is blocked. There's certain things that block our signal from heaven to earth. There's certain things, certain actions we take, certain habits we have, certain decisions we make that can interfere. It's interference that can
Mm-hmm.
interfere with the receptivity, and we just want to do what we can to create an openness and a receptivity, and to the point where heaven can thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, where the desires and the will of heaven can begin to manifest in our lives on earth. Yeah. I see you, Heather. You're like, no, that's not old school. That's what I had to do yesterday. I added some foil. And then the foil helped the receptivity. Sometimes you, oh goodness.
Resources.
Sometimes you need a, what is the word I'm
Like
looking
a
for?
conductor.
Yes, that's exactly where I'm going. Like a conductor, you have to add something that allows the signal to reach the destination of where it's trying to go, so that the vision can begin to unfold, to unfold.
It's funny how you can like think of so many biblical parallels to this because the preacher we were listening to this morning talked about um, when the lady was asked, "What do you have left in your house?" So
Mm-hmm.
using what you have
Yeah. Yeah.
um, to get to God.
Yeah. And some things are good conductors,
Mm-hmm.
and some things are blockers. So if you try to put some wood around that antenna, that was going to
It's not
inhibit
effective.
the signal. So we got to watch what we're wrapping ourselves in. Oh goodness, are we wrapping in something that are wrapping ourselves in something that's conducive to the will and the flow of God in our lives, or are we wrapping ourselves in things that block and resist
Mm-hmm.
the flow of heaven to earth? So yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome. I see a few more of you all have joined in. Hey, what we're talking about is how we're entering this space this week. It's been a few weeks since we've been with you. Would love to know who's here. Love to know how you're entering this space, how you're feeling. We haven't done a check-in for a while. We like to feel the pulse of how everyone is entering the space, and would love to hear that. Again, whether you're watching live or on the rebroadcast, we would love to hear from you to know how you're entering this space today, how you're entering this week, how you've entered this new month. I saw something earlier, I forgot. Someone said something about a new month.
You read it was Marie.
Oh yeah, 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 Marie. It's the new month. It's not only the new month, but we've entered a new season. We've entered spring.
We've
And
entered the second quarter.
the second quarter
Also.
of 2024 already.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And a lot has happened already in 2024, good and bad. And so we're positioning, we're posturing, we're shaking ourselves, we're aligning ourselves for receptivity. We're looking with hopefulness, even in spite of some tiredness, some weariness. We're trying to posture ourselves and position ourselves to receive what heaven has for us on earth. And so that's awesome. Thank you all of you for sharing how you're entering this space. Again, if you just joined or if you're watching on the rebroadcast, we still would love to hear that. That helps us to pray for you in a very specific way. Just to know how you're doing, how you're entering,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with you, how you're seeing the world at this particular time. All of it is good. So, thank you so much. We're glad that you're with us today, and we look forward um, to what's ahead. And so we are making some plans to begin to switch a lot of our main uh, focus of this broadcast over to YouTube. And so I think a few weeks ago we put a link up to make sure that you go sign up for YouTube. Was gonna go on there today, but we've had a few weeks of
Oh.
transition. Didn't want to confuse anybody,
What
but
was the link?
also uh, it it ends with Rajel Jones. I know that. Um, we also wanted
I'll find it.
Okay. We also wanted, we need some time to get the technology right. So once we get the technology right, we're going to try to make that leap and see how that goes for us over there. But we certainly hope that you follow us on over to YouTube. We're going to do some things a little bit differently. We're going to do some series and we're going to do some different things from a different way, but still maintaining a lot of the heart of what we have established over here in Facebook with you all in this particular group and community. Camille's about to post in the comments the link so that you can go over there and sign up on YouTube to make sure that you're following the right channel. And we're going to start moving a lot of our operations over there for our weekly connections, for our connections, how they will develop and how they will be broadcast from this point in time. But yeah, so don't forget to do that. It's coming in there now. Yep, www.youtube.com. Is it at or is it slash Rajel
It
Jones?
says slash at.
I don't know about that. I think it's all right.
It's a whole link.
Okay. You can also find it in my uh, link tree. So if you're connected with me
Just
on
on your bio.
any of my social media, you can find it on the link tree. And it will take you right there as well. I'm taking a look at the link tree even right now. We're gonna take our time and
Oh,
make
it
sure
didn't.
we get it
Oh,
right. I don't
that's
think.
it.
Okay, okay, that worked. I think there's multiple ways that it can work. It's interesting. So, yeah, but make sure you connect with our YouTube page. I think you could just actually go youtube.com/slash Rajel Jones, and that will get you there. I'm like fairly certain. But yeah, we're so glad for you all being committed to being with us and all of that, and we want to make sure that we're able to continue that. So that's that. Um, I had a quick scripture that I wanted to make sure to read to you today. I think the check-in is the main thing that we were doing, but want to give you this something for you to chew on throughout this week. A very straightforward verse um, over in James. There we go. The book of James, the first verse. Sorry, the first chapter and the 19th verse. James 1:19. The New Living Version reads this way. It's very straightforward. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. I'm going to read that again. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Yep. So, um, with that, it's a you saw I titled our talk for today, listen more, talk less, and manage your emotions. Listen more, talk less, and manage your emotions. So it's a very straightforward scripture, very relevant, very direct. And there's not a lot of room for misinterpretation of this. But I found it interesting as I was thinking about this verse, the different paces that we need for different outcomes. There's certain things we need to do slowly. There's certain things we need to do quickly. And so there's a different pace required for a different outcome. And so this text tells us uh, one of the things we need to do quickly, we need to be quick to do. We need to posture ourselves quickly to listen. And when we're having our interactions, whether that be with God or with individuals, with family, with significant others, with co-workers, with friends, with people in the store, whoever it may be, what makes the most sense and will have the best impact for us as it relates to how we enter into those spaces is to default to listen. Listening is a matter of paying attention to the signals that are coming to you. Listening is more than with your ears. Listening is also done with your eyes. You can see the nonverbals. You can see uh, how someone. You can begin to discern what's behind the message, as well as the message. So it's like listening, hearing the hearing the lyrics and the music. Um, like so, in all of our communication, there's the there's what's said, and that's like the lyrics, but then behind it is the music, and that is what creates. So you can, if you only listen to lyrics and you don't hear the music, then you're missing part of the message. If you only hear the music and you don't pay any attention to the lyrics, then you're missing part of the language. We need to hear both, and so this verse tells us, be quick to listen. Um, Listening involves taking in what's being said, not not for the point of responding. And so I don't know if this is a gender thing or not. Maybe it's us men that do that. I don't know. Maybe everybody does that. But sometimes I've been guilty of listening to respond.
I don't think it's a gender thing.
It's not good. Good. That makes me feel better because y'all. That means y'all raggedy too. Um, no.
It's not raggedy.
Oh,
It's
okay. It's
just
human.
yeah.
Okay. Uh, um, so it can be very easy to fall into the rut of listening to respond, um, or not even listening, just waiting for your opportunity to say what you want to say as it relates to the subject that is going on. And that's not being quick to listen. That's being quick to talk, which is the next phase of what's said. And so I'll real quick go through this and give it to Camille, and then she'll go from there because I know she has plenty. So you must all be quick to listen. In combination, in correlation, kind of at the same time, be slow to speak. So the first thing is be quick to listen. The second thing is be slow to speak. And we sometimes flip those. We're quick to speak and slow to listen, and that backfires. It doesn't work out well in the realm of communication. So this says, be quick to listen and slow to speak. Like take it all in, hear the perspective of what's being given to you, uh, listen for understanding, even if not agreement. Listen to understand where is the person coming from, what is the message that they're trying to get across, what are the lyrics and the music. Listen for understanding. Listen not to respond, but to understand. So don't listen to respond, listen to understand. And as we listen to understand, once we get that understanding, then we can assess, all right, is there anything that I should say? Or am I going to stay right there in that listening phase? And by processing that and discerning that, we will automatically become slow to speak, which is that second thing. Because if we speak too fast, we've all been in situations where we've said something too fast. As soon as it came out of our mouths, we regretted it. Like, I shouldn't have said nothing. I don't know why I said that. I should have taken that in more. It made the other person feel like I didn't hear what they were saying, right? And then there's the third thing. So understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must be quick to listen, slow to speak, and then here's another pace: slow to get angry. uh, be careful about getting angry too fast, because many times what has happened is we didn't really listen to understand, and we allowed our emotions to respond instead of our understanding to respond. Oh man! So if we will be quick to listen, slow to talk or to speak, and manage those emotions and be slow to anger, it makes it so that we can have a mutual understanding, and that's whether it's between God and me, uh, whether it's between a spouse and me, whether it's between coworker, whoever it is. This works in all phases. To be quick to listen, let that be your default. Get there fast. I want to hurry up and hear what you're trying to get across to me, and then I want to process it and understand it because I've listened for understanding rather than listening to respond. And once I understand it, then I will discern. This is all aspirational. This is not what I do. I'm trying to work on it. But then I want to discern, is there anything that I should say in response to that situation? Or no? Or is it that I just need to repeat back what I heard, to paraphrase and to make sure I've understood what's being said, or probe and ask some more clarifying questions for anything that I don't quite get where it's coming from. Maybe I need to say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this particular aspect of what you said, and investigate that thing in a way um, where there's not room for misunderstanding. Again, I can listen for understanding and not necessarily agree, but I can understand where it's coming from. And if I can understand where the person is coming from, then there may or may not be something that I can be slow to speak on. And the pacing of slowing down with speaking and slowing down with the management of my anger and emotions allows me to have the right pacing to understand and to allow the communication to be positive. I know Amplified probably has all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff, and Camille probably has all sorts of stuff on this.
Yeah, I was just thinking that many of us are not wired to be that um, slow in our communication and listening. So it's a really, it takes a really concerted effort for many people to practice that. But thankfully, there are, it's in the Bible. So we know that this is something that we should work on and practice. Heather made a comment. She said,
I just saw
listening to
it.
understand can also be taken the wrong way because if you
Mm.
ask questions to understand, people think you're being rude. Yeah, that's absolutely true that that experience can happen. I find that there is also some other things that we can try so that we're being clear with the person we're talking to. We can say, okay, I just have some more questions to understand your perspective, so I want to ask you this. So kind of preface it and see if that will help. A lot of times that is helpful. When people do it to me, or if I do it to people so that they understand where I'm coming from with these investigative questions.
So it's the way, what I hear Camille saying that I completely agree with. It's sometimes it's the way that we do it,
Hmm.
and it takes a lot of effort to do it in a way that is disarming rather than triggering.
I think so many people are so positioned and wired to um, be defensive or to defend themselves that they automatically think I need to be ready to respond, right? So if someone's asking me questions after I just said whatever I said, then because they're wired for negativity, or not wired for it but wired to for it to be like a negative reception or response, like nobody's prepared for like a chill conversation, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So um yeah, I think that there are things that we can do individually to try to work on that control of ourselves.
I know one thing professionally. I have not mastered this personally. I can't. I have to be very careful when I'm sitting next to my wife on a subject like this. Um, but I haven't mastered this personally. But professionally, one thing, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, can be to summarize or to paraphrase what the person has said. Like, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is boom, 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 boom. Is that right? Am I missing anything there? Right? Then it's not, the person doesn't feel attacked. The person doesn't feel like you're trying to prove them wrong. They can feel your desire for understanding and they feel heard. And
And it
so,
gives them space to correct
mm-hmm, yep,
what you what your understanding of it is.
yeah. And there's a difference. We can do that in an argumentative way, or we can do that in a way where we're trying to get understanding. So I, I can do that in a way where I'm like, so you saying this?
Yes,
What?
you got tone, you got body language,
Right.
facial expressions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In which what it conveys is what you're saying is stupid, right? As opposed to what I hear you. So I think what I'm hearing you say is this, and this. Is that accurate? That tone and that type of questioning produces, okay, this person's trying to get what I'm saying. They're trying to hear me, and they're trying to make sure that it's clear. So yeah,
Ooh, that's a lot of control.
yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
work.
It's practice that's needed. So the amplified version of James 1:19 reads, uh, I'm going to read 19 and 20 because I like what it says. Understand this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Let everyone be quick to hear, be a careful, thoughtful listener, slow to speak, a speaker of carefully chosen words, and slow to anger, patient, reflective, forgiving. For the resentful, deep seated anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God,
Mm-hmm.
that standard of behavior which he requires from us. So I thought that was interesting. I guess I'll go backwards. The slow to anger statement, um, because if we're already positioned for fight or
Mm-hmm.
positioned to just respond and just be heated about everything, then when you're in that mindset and mind frame and always just fine with going straight to anger, then we're not going to, whatever we produce is pretty much not going to be what should have been produced out of anger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like verse 20 um, on here, because it reads, for the resentful,
Mm-hmm.
deep seated anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God,
Mm-hmm.
that standard of behavior which he requires from us. So we don't have as much control, right? Once we're angry, anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this to me goes back to self control. That's like part of the Beatitudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have slow to speak. This says a speaker of carefully chosen words. A lot of us are not careful with the words we select. We just bleh, word vomit, right?
Mm.
So we have to be thoughtful of the words that we have chosen to come out of our mouths. And then the first one was be quick to hear. I think you covered that really well. But yeah, I like that the amplified version explains to be quick to hear means to be a careful, thoughtful listener.
Mm.
So it doesn't mean ingest what you're hearing the way that you want to. Be careful to hear it or understand the
Mm.
heart of what that person is trying to convey to you.
Yeah. So hear not how you're receiving it, but try to hear how they're intending it. So that so the onus as the listener is different than like the overall. So we have these things. We have um, the intent that the deliverer of a message gives. We have the perception, which is the way that the hearer receives it, and we have the impact, which is how did the whole thing, what did it do? What did it do to everyone involved, right? Um, Now, when it comes to certain aspects of my work, intent doesn't matter, right? Because, like, when you think of sexual assault or discrimination, what matters is the impact
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day. Like, this is what we deal with impact. But when we're in a relationship with someone, there is benefit in trying. Now, impact is still what matters, don't get me wrong, but trying to understand what bridges a lot of the differences is the difference between the intent and the perception. Because I'm going to intend one thing when it comes out of my mouth, but that doesn't mean that that's what you're going to receive if you're the hearer of that message. And most of our conflict lives in that zone between the deliverer's intent and the receiver's perception. So there's a lot of work that can be done relationally in relationships to find where is the gap between how you're intending it and how I'm receiving it. And so as a listener, the onus begins to fall on you to try to really understand the intent. And as the giver of the message, the sender of the message, uh, the onus on you is to consider how is this going to be perceived by the other person. So both of you in concert have to be figuring out how is the other person receiving and taking the messages that are going back and forth, right? So if me as the sender, if I'm okay, we're married and you can see both of us. So if I'm sending a message to Camille, I need to be less focused on my intent and more focused on how she's going to receive it. Uh, and then on that end of it, or I'll flip it because I don't want to talk about what she needs to do. If I'm the receiver of a message from Camille, then I need to be more focused on what her intent is than on how I'm receiving it. And all of it is a sacrificial, like in order for communication to work right, it requires sacrifice of your
Self.
right to be angry. It requires you laying down your right to be angry. And that's what the scripture is getting to. Like, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and be slow to get angry. Right? What's up? I see y'all joining. Hey, Lysandra. I
Hey
see
there.
Mom speaking to Kwame. What's up, Kwame? I didn't see you, but good to see you all. Hope you all are doing well. We're just trying to talk about things that make life and relationships and communication work. And so hopefully this is helpful to you. Our baseline scripture is over in the book of James, chapter 1,
119.
verses 19. And yeah, it just is very simply telling us to be slow, wait, to be quick to listen, to be slow to speak, and to be slow to anger. So have the right pace for the right thing. Don't get it out of order, because if you're fast to get angry, you messed up the whole thing. If you're fast to speak, you messed up the whole thing. And if you're slow to listen, you messed up the whole thing. So we got to fine tune all of these paces, and it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work to make communication work. But you have to assess, is it worth it? Um, would I rather not be having all of my messages misunderstood and misperceiving all the messages that I'm receiving? Like, is it worth it? And if so, then it's worth doing the work to fine tune the pace of your part of the communication process in the relational process. Yeah.
I I think too that this verse, practicing this, it is something that if someone did this with us, we would really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's really important and helpful to strive to be this, because it would feel so good if someone was acting like this with us. The other thing is when I have hard things like this that I have to focus on, um, I will put this as reminders on my calendar for a certain amount of time because that's my focus. So if this is something that you want to take on as uh, something you're
Challenge.
practicing,
Mm-hmm.
a challenge, something that you want to get better at, don't just say, okay, I'm going to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger, because you can't just do it because you said, okay, I flipped the switch, I'm doing it now. It's something that you have to concentrate on. It's something you have to pray about. You have to ask God for the help with it. You have to have, at least for me, I can say this, I have to have reminders like, oh, today I need to make sure I'm quick to listen. I need to make sure I'm slow to speak, choose my words carefully, and slow to anger. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
get angry, I'm not going to produce the righteousness of God.
Now that ain't what we produce when we get angry most of the time. And so yeah, I'm with you, and I love the accountability piece of, you know, Camille's good for this. Stuff like this will show up on our refrigerator.
I was
So
gonna
every
say that too.
yeah,
Sticky notes,
yeah, every
nice
time we look at the
signs,
refrigerator, like, all right, all right,
reminders.
mm-hmm,
When you, I like reminders when I'm not thinking of it because I'm like,
mm-hmm,
oh yeah, 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 I'm supposed to do
mm-hmm,
that today.
mm-hmm. That's my focus this week.
Yeah.
That's my, and then as we make it a focus for a week or two, it starts to become a habit, and as it becomes a habit, it starts to become a lifestyle. And as it becomes a lifestyle, it starts to become a character. It's
Mm-hmm.
a part of who we are, and it just becomes more natural with the right amount of discipline and practice. Because let's be real, our default is the opposite on all three of these things. Our default is to be slow to listen, to be fast to speak, and to be fast to anger. Like, and so we have to unlearn, deprogram, and reprogram with the right stuff. Being quick to listen, being slow to speak, and being slow to anger. When we see, we're not gonna do it all perfect either. So when you catch yourself getting off on any one of those, you got to give yourself some grace and back up. Like, all right, hold on, I went the wrong direction. Let me read my calendar alert. Let me read my refrigerator sign. Let me read my post-it that I put on my mirror. All whatever you got to do,
Mm-hmm.
keep the message in front of you. Write the vision, make it plain,
Right.
so that it's before you, so that you don't lose sight of this is what I'm really trying to focus on. And I feel like somebody, I don't know why, but I feel like somebody really needs that even this week, whether it be at work or in at home with family, to really try to take the challenge to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. That's the challenge that we're giving you this week on Weekly Wisdom. We hope that you will accept it. We like accountability. So I'm going to ask, is there anybody, whether you're watching live or on the rebroadcast, is there anybody that's going to take the challenge this week to do those three things? I'm going to take the challenge. I'll be the first. I'll be the first to say it. I'm going to take the challenge to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. I'm going to wait because I need somebody to take the challenge. Me, I love it. Heather, thank you. Heather's going to take the challenge. See how that works out. See how that works out this week. Who else? Who else? Wonderful, Lysandra. I will. I will. See, this is accountability. This is
Mm-hmm.
the kind of community that we have. We want. All right, let's commit.
Yeah.
It provides accountability to say it out loud. Marie, great. Me too. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I'm doing it
Um,
too.
Camille too.
I feel
Good.
like I've been.
Working on it.
I hadn't read the scripture, but it's something that I've been working on.
Awesome. Well, I need to keep on working on it. Again, it's so sad. Sometimes we do better Mom, I see you. I am. I love it. Sometimes we do better with people who aren't as close to us than we do with those who are closest to us. So I gotta work on it at home. And I'm working on it at home. I'm committing to that, especially this week. So great. Glad to hear that you all have taken the challenge. Hope this is useful for you. We'll report back. We'll figure out how it went. We'll ask you how did it go. Yep, there you go. Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. That's just right.
Got it.
That's just right. That's it. That's it. James 1
119.
19. So the other way that you can rehearse that, reread that throughout the week.
Yeah.
Keep on reading that. Let's hit this challenge and let's see what kind of fruit it produces in our lives in this coming week. Can we do that? Great.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're going to do that. Prayers to everyone on their challenge this week. That's great. Pray one for another. We'll be praying for each and every one of you. Those of you who are watching on the rebroadcast, we want to see if you're committing to this challenge as well. And we'd love to hear how you're entering this week. We hope that you have a phenomenal week. We love y'all. Take care.
Bye bye.